Hey everybody, Larry Steinberg here with Keller Williams Realty in Cherry Hill in the Steinberg Group. And my associate here for this video is John Potts with Polaris Home Inspection. The purpose of our video today is to discuss why have a home inspection, what your expectations are when you have a home inspection, and what happens if you don't. So John, let's take a first-time buyer. Why should that person get a home inspection?
Well, the simple answer is you don't want to run into any issues that you weren't aware of when uh, purchasing the home.
I mean, the bottom line is that I remember when I bought my first house, my dad walked through with me, and he was pretty good about stuff with the house. But he didn't crawl into the attic. He didn't rip off the electrical panel. He certainly didn't check the heater and air conditioner for the status. Um, so, what are you doing differently as a home inspector than my dad who's going through with me?
So we go in, we do a comprehensive inspection from top to bottom. We get up in the attic, check out the structural members, the insulation, ventilation, start working our way down, run all the plumbing, flush all the toilets, that sort of thing. As Larry mentioned, we'll run the furnace, depending on the season. We'll run the air conditioner, make sure that we're getting proper temperature differentials and everything's operating
As
properly.
long as you're bringing that up, I know that I've had inspectors who say, we're sorry, we can't test the air conditioner because it's 55 degrees out.
Correct.
What does that do to the system if you run it?
So there's lubricants inside the AC unit itself, and at certain temperatures, those lubricants start to thicken up, and if you run the unit, you can cause some damage.
Yeah, nobody ever answered. I never asked anybody, so that's a good
Yeah.
question. Um, so what should a buyer's expectation be with a home inspection? I mean, are you going to be telling them what they should or shouldn't ask for, or are you just going to be giving them a report that breaks down different areas and what they might be asking about?
Yeah. So as far as what they decide to ask for, that's your job. But the report that the home inspector provides will give them a list of deficiencies. Um, we note all of the different components, the systems and components in the house, and their age and their life expectancy. Things that maybe are at the end of their life, maybe should be budget for replacement. Things that are new, and you'll get another 20 more years out of. Um,
If I can interrupt, because I will do that. You just said a key word that scares the hell out of every listing agent when there's a sale. End of useful life. Let's talk about that with certain items. A roof. What's right now, what's an average age that's expected from a roof with the current roofing materials?
So depending on the materials that are used, you're looking at 20 to 30 years life expectancy on a roof.
Okay, so there's a house with a 20-year roof. They had the roof put on in 1990. It's now 2023, 30 some years later. No evidence of leaks in the attic. Mild abrasion on the tie on
On the
the roof
shingles.
shingles, and not really much curling. Do I need to tell my buyer ask for a roof?
As home inspectors, what we're looking for is what you mentioned: granular loss, wear and tear. You're looking for some curling on the shingles, lifted shingles, that sort of thing. If the roof is at its the end of its life expectancy, but there's no leaks, it seems to be in good condition. If there's no leaks and it's minimal wear and tear, um,
So just advise your client to put budget
yeah,
for the
budget
future.
for a future replacement. If you do start to run into issues with it, you could do some patching here and there and buy yourself a year, 2 year, 5 years. If just because the roof is at the end of its life expectancy does not mean that it needs immediate replacement.
Okay, here's one that's close to my heart. I just changed my water heater in my house. Um, I know water heaters lifetime expecting is what, I think 10 to 12 years.
Correct.
Mine was 32 years. And I was lucky I didn't have an explosion and water all over.
Mm-hmm.
What happens if you've got a water heater that's 13 years old and of course we know now it's past its useful life, um, but it's not showing any evidence of a problem?
I mean, if the water heater looks like it's in good shape, a lot of times, when they're located in basements, you might get some corrosion developing at the bottom just because basements a lot of time have moisture issues, things like that. But if the water heater doesn't show any signs of aging necessarily, and it appears to be in good shape, again, just like a roof, just because it's at the end of its life expectancy does not mean it needs immediate replacement.
Have you heard of those water alerts that you can put on those systems? I don't know if you have. Um, I understand there's an electronic gadget you can put on a water heater and it detects moisture so that if you're starting to have a leak,
Oh, if it starts to leak. Yeah, I believe that's in the drain pan underneath. You put a drain pan underneath that has a system in it, so if it starts to leak, it alerts you that there's a leak.
so that could be something we advise the buyer to do, which is a heck of a lot. Maybe ask the seller to do that for the buyer instead of a new water heater. So maybe it's $100 instead of $1,200.
Yeah, and again, that kind of depends on the location of the water heater. If it's in a basement located near a sump pump, then you're really not going to have any major issues if the water heater does start to leak. If the water heater's located on the first floor, in the laundry room, and some damage can be caused to the flooring underneath if it starts to leak, then yeah, that would not be a bad idea to have one of those systems installed.
Okay, let's talk about windows,
Okay.
thermal windows. Um, I've walked into houses with clients and you can't see out the windows.
Yeah, you get the staining in between the panes from the break in the thermal seal. Really, it's just a cosmetic issue.
It doesn't affect the thermal of for the window.
It really does not affect the efficiency of the window. It's really just cosmetic. You get the staining in between the panes from the buildup of condensation over time. Sometimes you can get the condensation and it doesn't cause staining, so it's really not even an issue cosmetically. But yeah, it doesn't really affect the efficiency of the window.
Great. Well, listen, I think that's all for today. For all of you out there, if you're thinking of buying or if you just like to have your house checked out, John, would you give your information so that they can contact you, email, phone number?
Absolutely. John Potts, Polaris Home Inspections, 856-770-4503. Email is jpotts, Potts, at polarisinspections.com. And the website is www.polarisinspections.com.
And for any of you who are thinking of selling or want to buy a house, you can reach me, Larry Steinberg, at Keller Williams in Cherry Hill. You can reach me at 856-438-0106. And my email is Larry, Larry, Sells, SELLS, NJ for New Jersey, @gmail.com. Thank you for listening to us. We hope to hear from you.